Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and good night, wherever you may be on this fabulous planet. I am reporting to you live from Olympus Mons, Mars, with 21, 1100, 1.1 gigawatts of broadcasting power. So let's all hop in the DeLorean. No time travel tonight because we're going to focus on whatever the heck just ebbs and flows out my mouth and is conceived in my Tyrannosaurus Rex pea-sized brain, which maybe a Tyrannosaurus Rex brain would probably be about the size of my head. Maybe I don't know. So would that be about a human brain? I don't know. So anyway, it doesn't matter. Just thinking out loud. You are, of course, watching Sketching Past Midnight Live, the place where we talk about all things comics, sci-fi, horror, fantasy, pop culture, and everything in between. And I am your host, CB Smallwood. You should be able to see this little lovely little thing here. It's got my name. I made sure to actually capitalize the name Smallwood, make it bigger. Bigger is always better. and Okay, so title of the show is something about British spiders, something about Super American. I have no clue. I can't remember half of what I wrote. I struggle. Starting our show off today is the fantastic one, Sideburns. I read the title as The British Spider-Man, and I like Super American's costume. I do too. But then I guess I'm biased because I drew it, but I appreciate that. Thank you. That sounded insincere when I said that, but I really do mean it. Before we get into tonight's topics, and before we actually get sketching, let's go ahead and let's get into some weird news. And this comes from Odie. All right, let's focus here. There we go. It comes from Odie. Annual invasion of the palm-sized, sex-starved spiders. And this was written August 30th of 2021, so this is some very relevant news. Giant spiders on the wall, are you the horniest of them all? There's not a single country in the world that doesn't have some annual traditions, and they're usually cherished events that give people a chance to get together and celebrate or remember something important. The British Isles, too, have their fair share of fun-filled annual traditions. And then there's this one. Let's see, where did it go? Where did it go? I hate when I have a good flow and the phone messes up. Okay. Okay. It went way. Okay. Jeez. Okay, granted, we're not talking about any kind of organized event, just the sex-crazed giant spiders that invade the British and Irish homes every year, whether people want it or not. The arachnid in question is the aptly named giant house spider, or Galakalakalaka for you scientifically minded. They can grow to have a leg span of nearly 4 inches. They're able to go from standstill to running at nearly 40 miles per hour in 1 second. So, yeah, that's a spider the size of your palm that can take off as fast as a car in the blink of an eye. And every year, between August and September, they crawl out of British homes, woodwork, in search of some freaky 8-legged love. Giant spider orgies. What a wonderful tradition. Why, yes, ma'am. Why, yes. I'm a legs man. How could you tell? I love this article. Oi, mate. Want a mate? Oh, but it gets better. Giant house spiders aren't alone in creeping into houses and homes on the British Isles. Dr. Chris Terrell Neild is a lecturer of ecology at the Nottingham Trent University in Nottingham, England. He told the Nottingham Post, lots of Nottingham going on here, that there is a total of 3 arachnids currently making their way inside homes of Britain. Lock your doors, grab your guns. The giant house spider is merely the biggest of them. In fact, they're one of the largest spiders in all of Northern Europe, of all of it. The other two are daddy longlegs, which we all love those, and the crowned orb weaver, also known as the garden spider. No wonder the giant ones get all the attention. We're going to scroll up like Star Wars. They usually stay in hiding within garages and attics. But when August hits, the male spider's hormones start getting the better of them. This time of year, August and September, the male spiders have the urge to mate and start wandering and looking for females. Terrell Neild explained. In their quest to satiate their spidery lust, they start moving across the areas they usually avoid. That includes walls, floors, kitchens, tables, and bathrooms and beds. Everywhere you don't want to see a spider the size of your hand. Although giant house spiders can live up to 6 years, there's a silver lining to their invasion. As soon as the males get some, they drop dead. Oh my God, the spider god is not merciful. When they find a female, they mate and she lays eggs, and the male usually dies. Said this guy with 2 names, or gal. Who knows? Oh boy, phone acting. You know what? Let's skip that. Mostly harmless. So there are gigantic spiders intruding into practically every British and Irish home. Should the residents be worried? Oh, by the way, it seemed like I saw a news headline somewhere that that a helicopter or some type of aircraft carrying the Queen of England had to make a emergency landing or turnaround because of something that was happening on board. So the article seemed to indicate that maybe she's not doing too hot. Figured I'd throw that out there. A little bit of extra news. So should the residents be worried? No, not really, lies the scientist. Despite their size, the giant house spiders only hurt your sanity when you notice one is crawling on you. They're not dangerous, but they can give you a nip. They have biting fangs. Terrell Neild said. Luckily, they're reluctant to bite. If they do, the sting is comparable to a bee. Oh my God. Well, that's not good. That's not comforting. On top of their size, the spider's speed contributes to their yuck factor. The reason people are frightened of them is because the way they move. I can't even read what that says. They may be still, but they not do anything. And you look away and they have gone. They are rather alien, and we do not have a connection with them. They look imposing. It is the same reaction when people see a mouse, he added. But even if you see an enormous house spider, you shouldn't kill it. Okay, let's hear this conspiracy of why we shouldn't kill spiders. We are far more dangerous to them than they are to us, explained the scientist. Spiders do an incredible service for us because they eat vast quantities of flies. I have a sinking suspicion that Terrell Neild is not who he says he is, or her. I have a sinking suspicion that Terrell Neild is a spider himself. Because wouldn't that be something that a spider would say? I'm just I'm just reporting the news here. I'm not making this stuff up. If you live in Ireland or the UK, see a massive spider crawling down your wall, try and suppress your urge to smash it, because they're part of my spider brethren. The little or not so little guy isn't out for blood, so you claim. He just wants to get his rocks off with some lovely spider lady, who would then lay egg sac containing up to 60 little babies, and these babies will be out looking to start families of their own within a year. Enjoy the thought. So that is our weird news of the day. So if you're Irish or British, my good friends, I'm sure that there has to be, in America, if you declare that you fear for your life, or if you feel there's a direct threat on your life or fear of something, you can actually claim asylum in the United States. So I recommend that yuns find boats or planes, or some of you athletic swimmers from Ireland, Great Britain, please make your way here. We'll be glad to have you. And, you can become citizens if you want, or not. But at least during the spider season, we can keep you safe here in America. Reasonably well. I mean, we're kind of having a little bit of social decay over here, but still, I want to make the offer. And I wouldn't be a good host if I didn't. So, what are we talking about today? What are we doing? I have no idea. I'm winging it as usual. Let's see. Our great, awesome friend NTM Comics is here and hails the chat. He says, I thought I was subbed, but I checked and I wasn't. Fixed it now. Excellent. I'll take all the subscribers that I can get. I tell you one thing, the crazy thing with the subscriber business is, if I can, I'm looking at my phone here. Sorry. I'm trying to pull up references what time I talk and I'm getting distracted. But like when it comes to subscriptions, I've noticed that there's a lot of people that I've been subscribed to that YouTube unsubscribes me. And I think that's for a couple of reasons. I think the algorithm is set up now to where, like, let's say like, well, let's take me, for example. If I don't upload within a certain amount of undefined time, maybe it's a couple months, maybe it's 6 months or something, what YouTube does, unless you're seeking my videos out, they'll probably just, unsub me from your subscriptions, and the same thing goes me toward anybody else. I think that it's just something they do. So that way, the algorithm, what it does is it wants to make sure that the content that you watch the most of, that you get to see the most of. Does that make sense? It's kind of weird. The bad thing about that is it creates this little bubble where you're always watching the same stuff over and over. And then eventually you realize, like, hey, where's these other guys I'm subscribed to? And I'm finding that there's like 10, 20, 30 people, martial art dudes that I've subscribed to, artists types I've subscribed to, conspiracy channels, all these different things. And I'm finding myself unsubscribed, and it's just, it's annoying, So I think there's a lot of that going on, and you always hear about these bigger channels that go through that, but I think the smaller channels experience it too, and it's just some weird thing. Still looking for references here. I got this. I call it a play phone. This was my old phone, and what I do is I download some comics to my phone, and that way I have them for reference at work or whatever, and I can pull this stuff up and try to study, learn some things, that sort of deal. So what we're looking at here is Super American. If you remember, when I last drawed it, it was kind of going off the rails in a really bad way. I couldn't get the facial expression right, and I think that's very key. Right now, I think it's looking pretty good. I mean, I'm not going to change it anymore. I'm pretty happy with it. I would show you what it looks like colored and everything like that. I've got it up on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So if any of you follow me on any of those, you'll be able to see what it looks like colored. I've got New Empire logo up here and the word Super American. I try to make it look a little old school in terms of the colors. I think I somewhat pulled that look off. I like how his face turned out. I mean, I think you can see the Rob Liefeld in it, but I think there's a little something different too. little dashes of Keon, but it's also kind of like Arthur Adams, oddly enough. You know, at least I think so. That's the way it kind of looks to my eyes. And yeah. I'm flipping through my references here. What time? Just kind of. This wasn't a good issue of Thor at all, or Thunderstrike. I'm going to pull up some Teen Titans. I'm going to look at that. Let me answer some of the comments before I move on. The Lion Tiger Man 23 writes, "How are you doing, man? I'm doing pretty good. Doing fantastic. I feel good overall. This is a good day, and I got all kinds of cool things that I'm cooking up. You know, I changed my mind about some things, and I've had some insights about some stuff, and so I'm getting ready to give away some things for free. And I don't want to say any more until I get everything worked out and I get everything put together and figured out. Also, I was thinking about some things about the channel, and so I got some cool ideas about that, but we'll see how they go. I have to kind of develop stuff a little bit better. I got this at Five Below. It's Bob Ross, Happy Little Tree Mints. I really just got this for the 10. I'm careless about the mints, but I assure you this is not something from Breaking Bad. These are legit mints. I'm just going to sit here and munch on these. I like them. Probably bad for my health, more than likely. Made in some third world country where, you know, they can make stuff out of plastic and call it food. So next comment, NTM Comics writes, "Is this a different style from your Wildcat stuff?" No, I don't think so. I mean, I feel like sometimes I feel like a nut, other times I don't. No, I don't think it is a different style. I guess the way I would say it or phrase it is it's everything just kind of coming together, you know, as I grow and as I learn and stuff like that. When it comes to like drawing faces, I'm very hardcore about drawing faces, about paying attention to the details and stuff. And let me bring this on home in a second, okay? So I've been studying like a lot of old school Del Keon. I also like artists like Ron Friends and Sal Buscema and John Buscema. Been getting in George Perez here lately because I like how he draws small stuff and also the background details, which is yeah. Been going back to my influences like Rob Liefeld and also Todd McFarlane and like Del Keon. That's pretty much my big three. And then Mark Silvestri and J. Scott Campbell. And so when you look at this face, man, you look at that one, and I know, gosh. I mean, I feel like I'm starting to get where you can tell like the same dude may have drew these three things. I don't know. Maybe I'm stretching it a little bit. Yeah. Where's the Modoc I messed up. And the worst face of all is hers. You know, sometimes I can draw women looking pretty good out of the gate, and other times it just comes out looking pretty wonky. I mean, the Wildcat nose is pretty similar to this, the facial structure and stuff like that. But there's other things. Here is one of the first sketches of Super American, and just to compare, you know, I don't know, just widen things out a bit and stuff like that. And so I really like how this turned out. So this will be the reference for Super American here on out. So we see the J. Scott Campbell stuff. We see hints of Buscema, or at least I think I do anyway. And Todd McFarlane. If the camera will focus, there we go. Putting in a little bit of some Keon-like details, and with the cross hatching, I just went wild with it. You know, I didn't worry about trying to do a lot of the cross hatching I like. What I tried to do is just try to get it done. You know, and this is just me, you know, sketching with an ink pen, not using a pencil or anything. So what comes out is what comes out. So I'm striving to draw my ladies more like J. Scott Campbell, or at least a bit like Arthur Adams. And the way I draw them, sometimes it's kind of a mix between the two. My dudes are a mixture of Rob Liefeld, Marc Silvestri, and a little bit of Ron Frenz. And this is me trying to figure out some different Hulk faces. I've shown these before, and I know I'm probably boring some of you, but this was brought up in reference to style. Here's me working on some guy heads here, looking at Rob Liefeld, but not drawing exactly how Rob Liefeld would do it, but like kind of going off and doing my own thing, I think, at least in my opinion. Okay, so that's enough of that. Let me move these sketches out of the way. The Super American piece looks a little bit different, especially the inks. Yeah, the other thing about the inks, people's like, oh my God, she's not gonna draw anything. I promise, I'm gonna draw. Okay, with the inks, I'm trying to figure out my cross hatching. Okay, I really like how Dale Keon did his cross hatching in the early days, especially on stuff like Dragon Force. So I learned to be able to do that. Now, if some of you are like, what did that cross hatching look like? Because I've never seen Dragon Force. I would recommend that you go check out some, oh gosh, some old Iron Man issues drawn by this guy named, not Bob Hall, but, oh, what is his name? Every once in a while, he would ink John Byrne, and it would be fantastic. It's one of the best inkers John Byrne has ever had, but for whatever reason, they never did much work together. And Bob Layton. So Bob Layton, I really like how Bob Layton does his feathering and cross hatching. And it seems like Dale Keon in the early days used to do a lot of that. And I really like how that gave things form and shape. But I'm not using the right brushes or the right pens, which you probably use brush for a lot of the early stuff. So that's a thing, you know, I'm experimenting with, trying to get good at and trying to figure out how to do properly. Well, while all else fails, I go back to the cross hatching I'm familiar with, which is a lot of the Jim Lee, Marc Silvestri type of stuff, you know, which Dale Keon would later go on to do when he was on Pitt which he started abandoning about halfway through the series, which I felt like it's a mistake, you know. But that's just me. The other thing is when it comes to the inks, I really like the way Arthur Adams draws fire or smoke or that sort of thing. So I've been trying to learn a lot of how he does that, and I particularly like the artsy fartsy crap that he does with backgrounds, because sometimes he does this stuff right here where he's just kind of going one way here and then he's going another way there, and he's just kind of going all over the place, and he creates this really lovely textured background. So there's that. And as far as, like, you know, just inking overall, you know, I'm using three things right now to ink with, and you know, sometimes it is pens like a Staedtler or whatever, or just some random pen I bought out of a Dollar General, you know, something like that. I'm even using one of my favorite pens, which is just a regular old Bic round stick pen, which is what I use to draw to do this up here, because it gives me a certain thickness that I like that is very similar to a pencil, and a lot of control, and I just like how the pen rolls out of it. And it's not something I've been doing a lot of, and I'm going to start using a regular ink pen to help ink stuff. And then the other thing I use is I use a brush. So sometimes I'll do outlines. I'll spot my blacks with it, outlines and stuff, and then sometimes I'll try details, and it goes rogue a lot, you know, when it comes to trying to do crap. So that's a problem. It's just, you know, just got to get better at it. And a big no-no is Sharpies, because, you know, people say that your art yellows over time, but I honestly don't really care, because I'm trying to get to the end result quickly and with quality, and a lot of this stuff will be scanned and pictures taken of it before it even has a chance to yellow. So the digital will be, you know, floating out in the cloud somewhere. So I pretty much use every tool known to man when it comes to inking, and I'm learning, and I'm trying to figure stuff out, trying different things. Oh, and I use whiteout crap and gel pens, which I had mixed result with gel pen crap. And so oh, and the other thing is, when I take this stuff and I scan it or just take a picture of it, I want to start adding screen tones, and which I've already been doing that. So I added screen tones right through here and on that. So rather than doing them manually, I'm doing them digitally. I'm using a free program called Krita to do it. I really love MediaBang Paint, but I can't use it on a Linux operating system, so I use Krita instead. But anyway, which MediaBang Paint is free too, and it's wonderful with adding all these halftones and screen tones and stuff like that. And it really is making my art look better and popping. And I'm going to use that on the Wildcat Anthology. I may have went too long on that, but I'm sorry. Let's see. The sensational one, Jeremy Burtz, writes, "Hi, CB." And that goes out to Sideburns NTM Comics and the Lion Tiger Man. Gabriel Meza. Is it Meza? Hopefully I got that right. Hello, CB. How you been doing? I've been doing good. I'm glad that you asked. Everybody's like, "Oh no, why'd you ask him that?" Because now he's going to talk for 30 minutes of how well he's doing. No, I promise. I promise I won't. I'm trying to get a grasp of this tripod thing. So let's get into some drawing. I've talked. I tried to pull up some reference on the phone, and I wasn't finding anything that I was really feeling. So kind of winging it. I thought about trying to draw some Super American thumbnails and sketches and stuff like that, and I may end up doing that. I'm not really for sure. Carlos Pacheco is another influence. I really love the way he does faces and these weird hands he does. They look awesome. Like the details on rocks and rubble and stuff like that. It's just fantastic. He's just a great artist. He really is. I wish he stayed on Fantastic Four, longer than when he was on it. And the writer, I think he wrote it, and also he was co-writer, and Raphael Marian also helped wrote it, and the two of them was a great team on this book, and it's very short-lived. The first 6 or 7 issues of the run was very kind of remind me of Jim Lee when he was on the X-Men, and they rebooted it with a whole new first issue, or actually a couple issues prior to it, and so they was hitting all the familiar beats, and it was really cool seeing all your your favorite Fantastic Four stuff revisited, and then some new spins put on it. And then on the tail half of the run, they eventually look at the details on these little googlers. Pretty cool. On the tail half of their run, they eventually started getting to more like how Tom DeFalco would write the Fantastic Four, which he did a fantastic job himself, pun intended. It's just solid stuff. So yeah. Let's not be brutal to this book. Okay, enough of that chat. Let's draw something. Okay. NTM writes, I've been studying some Capullo stuff from the 90s, and it's crazy the stuff he does with layouts. Yeah, I mean, I remember when, Rob Liefeld left Youngblood. I mean, I don't remember it at the time. This is more like in hindsight. And at some point, they had a young or semi-young Greg Capullo working on X-Force. And he did some really good work on X-Force. Now, in the first, I don't know if it was the first 5 to 10 issues of his run on X-Force or how long he did that for. I feel like he had the wrong inker. The inker was really burying all the cool aspects of his pencils, committing sacrilege, really. And as time went on, I don't know if he started inking his own stuff or he got a different inker, but the art started looking drastically better. And his storytelling and his art and stuff was all tight and really good. You can actually, and not a lot of people know this, but I think the book is called Quasar. I believe Greg Capullo had a run on Quasar before he got on X-Force. And there was a couple of issues there that were inked really well, but most of it wasn't. But his storytelling, the best way I could compare it on those Quasar issues was very George Perez-like. George Perez's storytelling is really tight and really good. He draws details really fine and does fantastic with that type of stuff. Yep, I got one of his Quasar issues. Yes, then you're well acquainted with this rant of mine. Now on the X-Force stuff, they were doing some interesting things with X-Force at that point. They had wrapped up a few of the storylines that Rob Liefeld had cooked. Like, for example, one thing I think Rob Liefeld didn't get to see finished of the stories that he had was that Domino, who was part of the team, she was the chick with the black spot on her eye, and she's pale white and that sort of thing. It turned out that the Domino that had been with them for the first 10, 12 issues or whatever, she was an imposter. She wasn't even the real Domino. And that was something that Rob Liefeld kept under his vest, and he didn't tell his editors, didn't tell the writer, he didn't tell anybody. He probably told his assistant at the time, what is that guy's name? He drew Brigade. And he for whatever reason, he's always drawing this this Winnie the Pooh, Deadpool thing, whatever the artist's name. He was his assistant. He probably told him about it, but like everybody else, he didn't tell. And so toward the end of the run of his book, he basically told him, that's something he had planned, was to reveal that. That was another twist. And the X-Force book was full of twists like that. For example, Strife turned out to be a clone of Cable, sort of like his brother or something. There was a bit of mystery of like, who Strife was. And so that there was that. And then there was a mystery about who Cable was. And then it turned out to be he is the son of Jean Grey and Scott Summers. There was a lot of stuff like that, and typically when people think of X-Force, they're thinking of explosions, guns, and pouches, but they overlook the actual cool little plots and subplots and all these little things that's going on. And it's easy to do when you're getting these grimaced faces and these tiny feet, and this artist who is like the Michael Bay of comic artist doing his thing, I got 2 issues of his X-Force. One of them, he only did the cover though. I would say that one, I'm not really for sure, and I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this. But another interesting thing during this time in the 90s, I think Mike Mignola, the creator of Hellboy, I don't think he had created Hellboy yet, but he really wanted to study, or at least I heard, Rob Liefeld's layouts. I think there's a lot of people during this time that wanted to study his layouts, and he doesn't really get the credit for it. And let me explain what I'm talking about. We'll take a look at Rob Liefeld's layouts, and then we'll come back and look at this crappy sketch I'm working on. Another one of these Bob Ross Happy Little Tree Mints. Puts me in a good mood. Makes me want to kind of whisper, So looking at Rob Liefeld stuff, this is pretty much what I'm drawing, but you can sort of see the difference, I'm doing different cheekbones, different wrinkles in the forehead, pretty much a wider mouth, really. I'm trying to get to where I draw smaller mouths. I don't like how this turned out at all. This is awful. But anyway, looking at Rob Liefeld's layouts, I think there's a lot of artists back in the 90s that were really studying what he was doing. There was the L Boys at Marvel, Ert Larson, Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee, and he's included in this too. And a lot of people's forgot him. Ron Lim. Ron Lim was running on all cylinders during this time. Um, there's a few others. I feel like I'm forgetting them, but anyway, a lot of those guys were making headway, and of course, not included in the L Boys, you had Todd McFarlane and Wallace Portacio. List goes on. So these guys were really competitive, and they would look at what each other's doing and stuff like that. And Rob Liefeld was this guy who the Spider-Man office was courting to try to get him to go draw Spider-Man. He even got an offer to draw Doctor Strange. And then he had the X office with all those editors trying to get him, woo him to draw some X-Men stuff, and not X-Men itself, but one of the X books and stuff like that. And so there was this back and forth, and everybody's starting to get aggravated with Rob Liefeld because he was trying to figure out where he would fit best at, and I guess looking for the best offer. Spider-Man people's like, hey, Spider-Man's like the best thing we got going on here. We'll treat you right. Come over here. The X books were like, come over here. We're a better fit. And eventually, at some point, he was told like, hey, you need to take what we're giving you, or you need to take an offer, or there's going to be no offers on the table. So he ended up taking New Mutants. And New Mutants was a book that was failing. I mean, by today's standards, New Mutants would be considered like a big hit because back in those days, about everything was getting about 100,000, 90,000, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 in terms of sales or something like that. It seemed like, So anyway, he takes it over, and Rob Liefeld was one of many artists that were studying Arthur Adams. Rob Liefeld, Todd McFarlane, Eric Larson, Jim Lee. That's like pretty much the big 4 or 5 that were studying Arthur Adams. And Arthur Adams would just like draw like once a year. He'd draw like 1 book a year, maybe 2 books a year or something like that. And Todd McFarlane's one of these guys like, let's give it to him monthly. Let's give him Arthur Adams monthly. And so basically they all had their own kind of derivative is not the best word for this, but they were all influenced by him. So they gave the audience a taste of Arthur Adams monthly. And Rob Liefeld was one of the people who did that, and he incorporated that stuff and put that into New Mutants. Now, one of the things is him and Jim Valentino would work on layouts, and they studied Jack Kirby, which is interesting, and tried to find ways to make the layouts more dynamic. So anyway, getting back to layouts, big splash page here. Everything's very cinematic. It's in your face, gets your attention. And the thing that I notice is for very cinematic type of stories that really suck you in, there's usually 3 to 4 panels. And here we've got 1, 2, 3, and then 4 panels. And then he's taking the opportunity to get the close-ups to build the feeling, the intensity. We're getting a close-up of his arm, incorporating a little bit of manga and spaghetti westerns. And there's the face. And I bet we're going to look double splash page with 1, 2. So basically 3 panels, but it's a double splash page. 1, 2, 3, which is actually 4 if you include this, but he did it as 1 panel. 1, 2, 3. And here he's actually added more panels, but usually when he does his storytelling, when he's wanting to do something big or impactful, he'll do 3 or 4 panels. And when he wants to tell more of a story, he'll do maybe 5, no more than 6. Just these interesting little tidbits I figured I'd pass on, I forgot what was the whole point of bringing up Rob Liefeld on the layouts. I went long, hard, and heavy on that, didn't I? Oh yeah. I was talking about Mike Mignola because you mentioned I got 2 issues of his X Force. One of them he only did the cover. Well, I think the one that you're talking about is there was these time traveling or interdimensional guys that show up, and Mike Mignola really wanted to study his layouts because everybody and their mother wanted to really study how Rob Liefeld did his layouts because they were very dynamic. That's not so much talking about the details of the art or his sometimes wonky anatomy or any of that stuff, just pure layouts. And so he actually took layouts that Rob Liefeld had drew for the issue, and Mike Mignola drew that comic using those layouts. So that's interesting. You know, did Mike Mignola, the creator of Hellboy, did he incorporate any of that storytelling method into Hellboy, which would be, you know, what was to come later? I don't know, but I think it's interesting. Okay. Miguel says, hello. Great to have you here, Miguel. Fantastic. Hello to you, good sir. What is your favorite comics? And he says, mine is Invincible. So we'll leave this question, pull it up because it's a good question. What is favorite comics? Um, I have to think on that one just a little bit. You can sort of see the Dale Keon bone structure underneath this. I guess that's the reason his mouth is wide, deviating from the Rob Liefeld recipe, but adding Rob Liefeld details a little bit here and there, you know. My favorite comics, a lot of them, half of them are probably sentimental. Um, I'll run through a laundry list of them if anybody's interested. In no particular order, okay, and I'll tell you the reason why they're my favorites, but in no particular order, just as they happen to come to mind. Lately, I really love reading a book called Glee Yip Near. It's a manga. It is the first manga that I've actually really sought out, and because I remember seeing it at Books a Million, amongst probably hundreds of different mangas, and just being like, oh, that looks pretty cool. The cover always looked cool, you know. And so what I did was I read some digital versions first. I had to teach myself to read manga, you know, because I didn't know how to read that because they're written from like right to left and everything, you know, how that kind of goes. And the story was actually really good, you know, a little pervy at times, but that's all right. I'm a big boy. You know, I think it adds to the story. You know, not all stories can be straight laced and Dean Martin. You know, sometimes they need to go that route. You know, to make them interesting. You know, otherwise, just everything just boring and bland. So Glee Up Near, I really like that. Chainsaw Man, another manga, I really like that. The new run on the X-Men by I don't know if the writer's name is Ben Dunn. I can't remember that. No, that's a guy from the show Jackass. Whatever this guy's name, I feel like his last name's Dunn or something. And there's this fantastic Latin artist. I guess he's Latin. I don't know. Um, I can't pronounce his name, so I'm not even going to try. But like they've only drawn like 2 issues of the. He's only like done 2 issues of the X-Men so far because of course, they rebooted it. They're always rebooting it every like 10 seconds. And basically, they merged the concept of the X-Men with Power Rangers. it's and oddly enough, it's actually pretty good. Now I kind of skimmed through and read it, but I really mainly enjoyed the art more than anything and the concept of it. So that's another good one for however long it lasts. Let's see here. I feel like there's some more comics that I'm kind of leaving out. Kind of doing a drawing on Super American here. Trying to draw him often as much as I can to kind of get the vibe, get his look down, be consistent. Oh, there's somebody else that I wanted to mention that I've been studying because I study early Dale Keon and stuff like that. I've been getting into Neil Adams, and so some of the details on the faces and stuff like that I'm getting from Neil Adams and also early Dale Keon. So that's worth mentioning as well. But back to some of my favorite comics. Um, I like the Age of Apocalypse. So that includes the Amazing X-Men, Astonishing X-Men, Weapon X, Factor X, all that stuff. Those were great. I like the first 13 issues of Gen 13. I like the first 6 issues of Captain America: Heroes Reborn. I like pretty much almost the whole run of Jim Lee's Heroes Reborn. His first 6 issues, and then Brett Booth and Ron Lim taking over. I thought that was pretty good. Let's see. I like the Onslaught storyline that covered many books at the time. So pretty much all those. And let's see what else I got for you. As far as I like Kamui, and Kamui's kind of hard to find. I think Dark Horse during the '80s or early '90s started releasing this manga, and they printed the stories to where they were American friendly, so they were from they read left to right, regular. And Kamui was like really really good. And it's, oh gosh, I drew his eye too big. His pupil, whatever. I'll worry about that later. I like those. I love Dragon Force and Warlock 5 from Aracel Comics. I like I'm gonna go through everything I like. Hey, you like them apples? I like man, gosh, I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff I like. I like Del Keon's Pit, especially the first 8 issues. After that, it kind of loses its way, loses its focus. I love Wolverine, the Larry Hama years. In particular, I like Adam Kubert's run on Wolverine. It's fantastic. I don't know. I don't want to bore everybody with it, but and there's the Max was another one. fantastic writing and art. Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. Peter David's run on Hulk. But Miguel says his favorite is Invincible, and Invincible is pretty cool. I actually feel like the show Invincible is better written than the comic. But in defense of Robert Kirkman, when you're creating something new out of thin air, not everything is going to hit precise and focused. It takes a while for you to get your stride when you're creating something from nothing. And so people that make shows based on these properties, they have the luxury and the ability to build on that and do better. But yeah, the comic is pretty cool, and the concept. I think the concept more than anything, and then that artist that they had on the book at first was really good, and then they eventually got Ryan Otley, or is it Otley or Otley? I don't know. They got him, and he was a fantastic artist, and I'm looking forward to what he's going to be doing on Hulk here soon. So I think that's going to be neat. And I don't really read Marvel or DC or any of that stuff anymore, but I may pick up or check out his run on Hulk just because of his art. NTM writes, I was talking about Capullo's X-Force. I was well, okay. Maybe I should try time travel and go back in time and just delete that whole 30 minutes of conversation. I went real heavy in it. NTM writes, I don't really read comics. Every now and then I'll flip through them. I'm mainly absorbed into my Mavericks stuff and the Maverse. I hear you on that. I'm kind of the same way, even though it may seem contrived for me to say that now in lieu of your comment. But pretty much the only stuff I read is a bunch of these mangas by Chainsaw Man and not by Chainsaw, but of Chainsaw Man and Gleipnir. I thought those were pretty cool, and then those 2 issues of the X-Men, the relaunch they did with that that artist whose name starts with a P, who I cannot think what his name is. But I only skim read through those. Most of the comics that I check out nowadays, with the exception of those 2 manga, I read them online, and I end up not really buying them because I don't know. Most of the comics being produced nowadays, I'm not really interested in. I can't relate to it, or maybe it's not so much I can't relate to it. It's just not my cup of tea. And maybe that's a better way to phrase it. And I feel like I'm about like you, where I end up just creating more of my universe and worlds and daydreaming a lot of things about that, Gabrielle writes, have you heard of Vagabond, CB? It's a Japanese manga. It's sometimes compared to Berserk because of how detailed the art is. I feel like I have. I've actually downloaded a buttload of manga, but I've just not got around to reading it. I'm like one of these people, like back in the day, that would go to their local comic book store and pick up like their month or 2 months worth of comics and end up not even reading half of them, and just getting buried in like it's almost like homework. But I may have some digital copies of Vagabond. I'm not really for sure. If that is the case, just for you, I'll check it out and then start to read it. Now, I think the reason that I may have digital copies is because of the reason that you mentioned is the fact that the art looks good. It's one of the first things I look for is like really killer art. You know, is there something that I can take from that I can incorporate to do to make my stuff look better? Oh gosh, I'm messing up here. Okay, that helped it a little bit. It looks like his brain is like getting ready to explode. Okay, where's my grab one of these markers. Let's see. I think makes his chin just a little bit bigger. I think this turned out very Keon-like, you know. Sometimes here lately, when I'm drawing um, my stuff, some of these faces like this turn out Keon-like. And there's some hints of it in this as well, but like it also comes out looking like Bart Sears, which that's not bad. I like Bart Sears. Bart Sears is good in my book. I saw an interview with Bart Sears. He was on what is Andy's name? Andy something other. I'll think of it here in a little bit. Andy's been doing his own book. I can't remember what it's called, but Andy draws a lot like Bart Sears. It's not Andy Park. It's I feel like it's something with a P. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. But Andy was doing an interview with Bart Sears on his show, and Bart Sears was drinking, and I think he said something he didn't mean to say, but he actually said that he hates drawing comics. It's like, oh my gosh, it's terrible. I mean, I think everybody in the live stream was kind of horrified by that. You know, the idea that Andy Smith, thank you, NTM, Andy Smith. And I think everybody was kind of horrified by that, you know, because Bart Sears is just a fantastic artist. He doesn't have like a large body of work out there that people can pick up and find, but you know he's known for his Brute and Babe comic / his Brute and Babe column that he would do for Wizard magazine. Which if you've not said it or seen it or read it, go get copies of that or digital copies, or however you want to do it. Great stuff. Which was later followed up by an equally great art course, which was Greg Capullo's Crash Course that was published in Wizard magazine, which was also equally, if not in some cases more so, great in helping with how to draw comics and that sort of thing. So anyway, yeah, it was devastating to hear him say that that Bart Sears does not. He hates drawing comics. He would rather write and all this other stuff. I just thought that was interesting. Figured I'd throw it out there for no reason. NTM writes, what is the progress on the Wildcat comic? It's like, which one? Okay, so the anthology. Here's the progress on the anthology, which is this. Like, I'm pretty much done with my pages, my contribution for the most part. You know, my stuff still needs, you know, lettered and that whole thing, which I've just been taking my time with that. There is, I've gotten, I think, 2 submissions from people where everything is completely lettered, inked, the whole 9 yards that are in the can. And I've got, I think, 3 other I got 3 other contributors on the book that have not sent anything in yet, but I know that they're working on it. They're working on it in their own pace. And to be fair to these individuals, that they are working on other projects. What time they're doing that, and nobody's getting paid or anything like that. People are just doing it for the love of it, and maybe to help me out, or maybe a little bit of both. Maybe some type of exposure, maybe to keep busy, maybe all of the above. So I don't go knocking on doors and be like, are you guys done yet? The current deadline is September 15th. And I'm not, I've extended the deadline, like 3 times now, and I'm not really hardcore about it because, like I said, everybody's got their projects that they're working on and stuff. But my thing that I feel is the most important when it comes to this stuff is trying to do your best work. That's where my heart's at with it. I want everybody to focus on doing their best work. I'm not expecting X-Men #1, Cyberforce #1, Pitt #1. You see where I'm going with it? I'm not expecting that caliber from anybody. I just want everybody to be happy with their contribution and to do what they feel is the best that they can do right now. Be happy with what you send in. The other thing is with the Wildcat Anthology, I'm a little bit. I have a slight holdup with it in terms of this. I'm very ambitious with what I want to do. So what I mean is, when everybody sends their contributions in, I want to introduce each of their stories using a Crypt Keeper type of character. Okay, mine is Dr. Terror, and so Dr. Terror would be like, he's going to have Wildcat captured, and he's forcing Wildcat to watch stuff, or he's going into Wildcat's mind and seeing memories, or he might be viewing alternate realities involving Wildcat. So we're seeing all these different possibilities, right? And so the thing is, I need to be able to see what the first page is of each and everybody's contribution. So that way I can get a gist of how I'm going to do the 1 to 2 page introduction where Dr. Terror introduces that story. And the reason I want to do it that way is I feel like it will tie everything together. So I'll have my 8 pages, and all these other creators will have their 8+ pages. And on top of that, I'm going to draw 1 to 2 pages prior to everybody's story, where there's this common story that connects them all together. If you ever seen the movie Heavy Metal, there's that flying orb, and it connects all these stories together. That's what I want to do. I want to do the same thing. And my voice is getting deeper. It's a messed up looking thing, whatever. I could do this better if I wouldn't. That's my excuse, if I wasn't distracted. So that's kind of where it's at, So I think everybody's getting close to getting it finished. If I had to guess, I think, in my opinion, even though the deadline is September the 15th, I feel like everybody will probably get done close to Christmas, which is okay. I don't want everybody to breathe a sigh of relief and then be like, oh, if it's Christmas, then when Christmas rolls around, everybody, without me saying anything, gets done by the summer of 2022. So let's not do that. The other thing is the Wildcat comic, Dead Man Walking, which is going to be like the main baby. It's the name of the storyline that I have for it. So after the anthology is done, sometime in the near future, I'm going to do Wildcat Dead Man Walking, and that is a big problem because I'm trying to do this big Magnus Opus type of thing, and it's causing me to take forever. and I keep thinking about the possible story ideas, and I keep adding to it and taking away, because I want to do a good job, and I want to give people something that I feel is legible and worth reading and is worth paying money for, and that sort of thing, you know. So sometimes I'm getting in my own way, but other times I'm looking out for potential readers, and also future me, to where I can look back and be proud of the work that I put in. So that is the long stretch answer to that. So that Wildcat Dead Man Walking is a ways away. So when I get done with the Wildcat anthology, I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do this, where my focus is on drawing as much as I can. I'd like to do a couple issues, if possible, of this stuff where I can just focus on getting good, getting used to drawing comics semi-regularly, and producing content. And I want to mention this, and it's probably late in the video to do this because nobody may actually watch it and see this, but to be honest, I'm not hitting anybody up on this because I don't want um, I don't want anybody to feel any pressure or obligation, but in a way, I kind of want to help with it, because I just want to focus on, drawing the booger and inking it. And I thought about, like, throwing the word out there that if there's some writers that would like to come in and play around with the character, and some other creators come in and do stuff. I have a story in mind for it. I got a lot of cool stuff I want to do. I got some dialogue in my head that I want to put in. With Super American, pretty much the whole deal with him is, he's from the future. Now his public domain story is this: World War II is happening. There's a scientist that contacts the future and says, "Hey, we're in trouble," and everybody in the future has superpowers. So they send this random guy back in time, and that is Super American. And I guess he helped wins the war or whatever. So here's my version of Super American, and what I want to do is basically the same concept, but the difference is, um, the main difference is, let me trying to think, that instead of him coming back for that reason, basically somebody from the future is meddling with the past. And so what ends up happening is the Axis powers are winning the war because they're getting help from somebody in the future, and they're getting technology that's helping them do that. And so at the start of the first issue, what happens is the Nazis are in North America. They're I think they're trying to take Washington D.C., and they may just do it. And the scientist who's able to communicate with the future through his technology is like, say help, 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 and somehow he's able to either teleport there or communicate through that distance. And I think the future goes from being a glorious, wonderful Bill and Ted type future to a dystopian one. And there is this either a cyborg or like a machine that that is the creation of this liberty-loving people in the future. And maybe he's not bound by time, the changing of realities and stuff like that, because of the way he's built. And his name is Super American, and he gets sent back in time as a way to fight all this massive technology that's going back in time to the Axis powers. And so anyway, he doesn't go back alone. He goes back with this big, large, that's actually to scale. this big, large robotic eagle called Silver Eagle. And Silver Eagle flies to the sky and shoots rockets and machine guns and all this other stuff. So basically, he's got like his own drone or something in the sky. And here down below, it's kind of like I just kind of threw these guys together really quick. But you got these armored. I don't know if they're SS. We could say they're SS. Maybe they're Wehrmacht or something. Wehrmacht. I don't know. Whatever. But these German soldiers in these mechanized outfits, and you can see what could be some of them policemen or U.S. soldiers. And this is like at the Capitol. And look at the rubble and the ruins. They're not doing too hot. They set up this rudimentary barricade, and they're getting ready to get pummeled. And that is until this guy goes back in time to stop that. He's going to have all these catchphrases, you know. Every once in a while, the tree of liberty must be refreshed by the blood of patriots. And then this is going to be a big baddie. In the public domain comics of Super American, I don't think he really has an arch rival or arch villain. I'm not for sure. Well, actually, he sort of did, but it wasn't good enough. So there's another public domain comic, I believe, The Hangman, and his bad guy was called Swastika. So this is Swastika, but I don't have a swastika on his face. I just didn't draw it. No particular reason why. But I'm thinking that I'll actually leave that off. That he has to wear this mask to hide his damaged face. Now, at one point, I was thinking that he so loved the party, the National Socialist Party or whatever it's called in German, that he had his face branded with a swastika. But why hide that if he's so proud of it? So I'm thinking that he's got a lot of damage done to his face, and that maybe he got his chest branded with a swastika. And I got this whole idea to where maybe he starts out being this really awful person, and then there's like a whole story arc where the villain of villains starts changing his ways. You know, the party abandons him, the Nazi party, and all this other stuff, and they turn on him. And I thought that was really interesting, the concept to play with, to see if I can get get people to get behind a villain who's finding his hero's journey, oddly enough. But the story is not really about him. It's, you know, about Super American, you know, just beating up bad guys and trying to expel the invaders out of North America, and then eventually it would wrap up. Which I don't see myself going that far with it, you know. But it would wrap up in Europe, where he takes the fight to Europe finally. And the way I want to tell the story is maybe like it would be collected in these big fat trades, where like the first trade would have like 2-3 issues worth, and I would have like, I do it like Star Wars, where Star Wars has the credits where it talks about what has happened, and then you find out, and then by the time you get the second trade, you get another Star Wars credits that start at the beginning of it. And I thought that'd be a cool way to do things, so that way I could get to the cool beats without having to draw all the sucky stuff. Last but not least, so what's something else cool about Silver Eagle that I wanted to do is, like, things get really hot and heavy at some point for Mr. Super American, even though he's like basically Superman. So he's going against all this future technology sent to the past, and there's probably going to be some other big baddies. And so, you know, he's like, "Come to me, Silver Eagle," and Silver Eagle comes down, and then maybe there's like a word that he says, you know, "Give me liberty or give me death." And then the eagle starts to transform, and it turns into armor on him. And then he says, "America, America, America." And then the eagle goes, "Squee!" And now he has this eagle armor on him, and a big sword. So I thought that would be something really different. You know, it basically ties in Voltron, Power Rangers, Transformers, you know, Japan stuff, and merges that in with it. And so I thought that would be really cool. So that would give it extra dimension to Silver Eagle, you know. So yeah, that's pretty much my plans with it, and I thought about, like, you know, I want to get those plot points out, but I also like the idea of working with like different writers and such to where they could play around and do some things too, and then I would have to let go a little bit, you know, because the whole point is not to be ambitious with Super American, but to just freaking draw a lot of Super American, you know. If I'm such a great writer, you know, I should just go ahead and do it, you know. Yeah. So there you go. And TM writes, I'm thinking of doing an Ashcan supplemental story that will go along with Mavericks Volume 2 Judgment of Doom campaign. Well, let's see. Let me get my brain fired up. Wonder, how many pages was you thinking about for the Ashcan, you know? Like, how many was you thinking about doing there? And and when you say Ashcan, you're meaning like those little books they used to do back in the day, probably, I would assume. Let's see. 22 pages. 22 pages for the Ashcan. Well, I don't know. I think it's one of these things where it really depends. And I know that's a really lame answer to give, but I think it really depends on. And I'm not being a butt when I say this because I'm the least qualified to whatever, but it depends on what you're able to pull off, really, in my opinion, because um, you know, I'm one of these guys that has a habit of biting off more than I can chew. But I kind of see that as a good thing and as a bad thing. You know, it's a good thing in the sense that you're challenging yourself, and I mean that toward myself as well. But it could also be a bad thing in a sense of like you get buried in the work, you know, and you're doing awesome work, fantastic work, and you've really upped your game on the second volume of Mavericks. And I have full confidence that you can do it, but just I'm sounding like a what do you call it, a Debbie Downer? I better hush. I guess what my thoughts is on the Ashcan is, you know, what is your goal with the Ashcan? What is it that you want to accomplish with it? You know, is it something cool, an incentive? Like is it going to be like a crowdfunding goal where we're like, hey, you know, you can just get the digital copy, or you can get the book, or you could get the Ashcan, or you could get the digital copy, the book, and the Ashcan for $3.95. You know what I mean? $15, $20, $30, however much it is, right? And so, you know, I'm curious what's the thinking behind that. You know, if you're wanting to do something special, here's an idea that I got that I think is pretty cool. That I'm thinking, you know, whenever I do some Wildcat stuff or some whatever Indiegogo crowdfunder, whatever that I do in the future, um, I am thinking about, like, I want to get everything done first before I do an Indiegogo. And I guess this is part of the advice I'm giving as well. You know, like when you do your Mavericks and stuff, I recommend just getting it done first, because I'm seeing a lot of campaigns that are building a lot of hype about their comics, and they're not done. They're nowhere near done, and it's taking like 6 months to a year to 2 years for them to get finished. And And I don't know. I just don't think that's a good way to go for them or anybody because there's I think there's like and it's sad to say because I've got like limited funds and stuff like that. I'm a poor man from a poor family. Spare him his life from his monstrosity. But I think I've only donated to like 5 campaigns. And out of those 5 campaigns, I think I've only gotten, or maybe 6. I think I've only gotten like 2 books or 1 book. Yeah, yeah. And I think that was Berserkernaut. you know, and a few of these campaigns failed, and they refunded money and stuff like that. But there's others that 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 didn't and were funded and still waiting on the books. Now, to be honest, I've forgotten about a lot of these books until I started snooping around on Indiegogo and stuff like that. But other people are really uptight about that sort of thing, and for good reason. It's their money. I get that. I don't blame them. And and anyway, so that's one of the things that I'm trying to do is when I do my future Indiegogos or whatever, I want to try to get as much done as possible before I even launch one. Let me answer a few comments here. And I didn't really get finished answering it wasn't even a question. It was a comment that you made about the ash can. I'm kind of building up to it. NTM writes, I was just thinking I would have it as a add-on or a built into the perks. Yeah, that'd be cool. Oh yeah, I didn't get finished telling you what my idea was. So anyway, I'm so sorry. I get sidetracked with my stories. But I had this really cool idea. Everybody has my blessing to steal it. It's not copyrighted anyway, so you can do it whether I want you to or not. But I'm thinking about like hypothetically, let's say like um shucks. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Let me grab a comic. So I was thinking about when next time I do a crowdfunder that beforehand, a couple months beforehand, what I would do is I would either take some copies of Wildcat or something like that, or I can take a copy of this. The 100s presents the werewolves and unicorns, and I've got about got 7 of them. So I got 7 of these bad boys, and I could take a few of these and actually send them off to CGC or whatever it's called, have them grade it, send it back to me, and then put that as a perk and mark up the price, to cover the cost of doing all that. And so that would instantly give that book value because it's already been evaluated by the CGC. So in theory, you could take those ash cans or copies of the main comic, Mavericks, have it printed before the campaign is launched, send a couple of copies to CGC, mark them up really high because you're going to spend a lot of money to have it graded and mailed and shipped and stuff like that. And those would be 100% collectibles, okay? Because first of all, you know how many copies that you're going to print. You'll be able to have it all laid out. You can even have it written inside the book, one of such and such copies. You'll have the receipts to show the proof of it and stuff like that. You can autograph it, have it sent to CGC or whatever it's called, the grading place, have them send it back and all this other stuff. So they'll be autographed in a case, numbered, graded, and high value. And I think that's a tier that nobody has really thought about before, but collectors, people that are very serious about the collecting, they love stuff like that. And especially with the indie comic with a short print run, the value of that would be really cool, you know, and especially if someone like me, you, or anybody else kicks the bucket, you know, even more valuable because the creator's not going to be able to make anymore. So, yeah. So that's my big idea. But as far as the ash can, you doing the ash can and doing that whole bit, I think that's really cool. I think that's a cool perk that people really would really like. For me, if I was going to get an ash can, what from you or anybody else, what I would want is something in that ash can that I can't get in the main comic. So let's say like maybe what the ash can could be in theory is like maybe when the second story, the second trade of Mavericks wraps up, the ash can has the prelude to chapter 3 or the third trade paperback, you know, gives you a hint, you know, it's the end credit scene of the comic. Or maybe I don't know. It just needs to be special somehow, not just because it's an ash can. That's all I'm saying. There has to be something special about it. And I don't know what that would be. I'm just kind of thinking out loud. I got all kinds of thoughts. The idea behind the purpose of it was to get more material out, something to build up upon and enhance the main story. Um, well, I think in that case, here's something that I would suggest that you think about. And I don't have a lot of experience in things, and so take whatever I say with a grain of salt because it's just ideas. I'm just spitballing here, and I'm figuring out things as I go, you know. But my whole new philosophy is just giving out stuff to people for free. Okay, and what I mean is, um, you've got one book in the can, which is the first Maverick story. So maybe you know, you could think about giving out the first 10 pages as a PDF or something like that of that book or the whole book. Put it up, or maybe put it up on Webtoons or something like that, because I feel like the more people get to know Mavericks and what he's about, what are his powers, what's his story, and stuff like that, the more invested I think they will be. It's like you know, when I think a lot of these Comicsgate books that are out, stuff like Graveyard Shift, Jawbreakers, and a whole bunch more. You know, gazillion of them. I don't know what any of those are really about. You know, I know that Jawbreakers is like this GI Joe X-Men mix, but that's only because someone like Ethan Van Sciver pitches it as such. You know, and but it's like you know, where these are brand new properties, nobody knows who these characters are or what they're about, what their deal is. And I think there's going to be a lot of people still, after all this time, that are hesitant about investing in these books. You know, when Graveyard Shift did their new campaign for Graveyard Shift 3 or whatever, I didn't buy the new book. They had a trade for issues 1 and 2 or book 1 and 2, whatever. And so I bought that because I thought that was a good segue into getting familiar with those characters and see if I liked it and that sort of thing, you know, which I still haven't got yet. I'm waiting for it to come in the mail. I feel like they forgot me. Kind of losing track here what the heck I'm talking about. Where am I at? I'm way behind on these comments. Despain Comics. Hello, good friend. Dude, the Shinobi Sasquatch campaign is way overdue. Yeah, there's actually a big controversy about that I didn't learn about till like a couple months ago. Um, the artist on that book is phenomenal. He's great. He can pretty much rule the world if he wanted to. If he really applied himself. Um, but he's been drawing a lot of covers, a lot of yeah, just basically a bunch of covers. I think he was even commissioned to draw I don't know if it's a 10 or 24 page story of one of John Malin's characters that he came up, which was, kind of, I don't want to say it was based off Pitt, but it's Pitt inspired. It's just, you know, here's this guy that draws really great art. Let's give him a Pitt like character, since they keep comparing him to Del Keon, but like, it's entirely the wrong comparison, like that they're not. Have they ever heard of Stephen Platt? Have they heard of Stephen Platt? The guy draws like Stephen Platt. And I don't mean that in a dismissive way. It's awesome he does that, It made me revisit and look at Stephen Platt's stuff and try to incorporate a lot of his cross hatching and shadowing, the way he would do it. It's really awesome. And every once in a while in a blue moon I do it, but I'm still trying to, figure stuff out, But anyway, yeah, he draws more of Stephen Platt. They're hung up on the Del Keon thing, and they don't see it. But he's been drawing all this stuff, and he's gotten really behind on drawing Shinobi Sasquatch. And I think part of the problem is, and to be fair to him, I think he's having the same problem that I'm doing. He's better at presenting stuff and building a lot of buzz. I mean, like every once in a blue moon, I'll do something like this. Now, this ain't mind-blowingly awesome or anything like that, but every once in a while, I'll crap something like this out, and then this is really going over well with people on Facebook, which made me really happy. Getting like close to 30, 40 likes on things. So that's pretty good. But I don't do that often. Most of the time when I post stuff, it's stuff that looks like this. And that's not really a good way to grow an audience. So I don't show people the best of me. I show people the best, the worst, the ugly, the good, bad, and ugly, and everything in between. But that artist on Shinobi Sasquatch, he shows everybody the top-notch version of himself. But I think he struggles in the same way that I do in terms of he doesn't know what he's doing. That's just my theory. I don't know that he could be the John Buscema of layouts and understanding and everything. But in my opinion, I don't think he knows what he's doing. And it's not because his work shows that. It's because he's taken so long to do it. He's probably set the bar so high for himself because of how he renders and his layouts and stuff like that. Very cinematic and awesome, that he probably spends all day trying to figure out how to do a cool layout for the next page and that sort of thing. And he's having trouble, and maybe he has trouble with anatomy, and we don't see that. We only see the best that he's showing us, because that's smart. That's really smart. Because a lot of people don't understand that everything in life is a work in progress, and most people think that when you show something that it's finished and that it's done. And so if I were to show people this on Facebook, they'd be like, it looks all right, they don't understand that it's a work in progress. But other people like stuff it's a work in progress. I'm getting all over the place. So, and then there was a controversy about that artist where he was drawing something for John Malin, and then the writer of Shinobi Sasquatch actually called out John Malin and said that one of the reasons that the book is late is because this guy's drawing these other projects, which I would say is not John Malin's fault, because the artist is his own person, doing his own thing. It's up to him to do his own deadlines and to stick to prior commitments, if that makes sense. And sometimes that stuff gets the best of us. I'm not trying to rag on that artist or that writer or John Malin or anybody. Just saying that sometimes life happens. But But you know, Shinobi Sasquatch is one of these books I'm looking forward to. I think it's going to be really cool when and whenever it comes out. NTM says that book is taking forever. You talking about Wildcat? No, that's a joke. But seriously though. But yeah, Shinobi Sasquatch is taking quite a bit of while. CB, are you doing any more creepypasta videos? I really like them. Oh, that's awesome. I know I'm sounding like I'm being sarcastic, but you touched my soul with that. I like that. Yes, I've got one that I'm working on. I'm procrastinating because it's called Dr. Sammy. I think I did a pretty good voice for it, you know, because it required a funky voice. It's about 30 minutes long, and you know, so when I recorded it, it took me about 30 minutes to an hour to record it, and then it took me about 30 minutes to an hour to start editing it, you know, getting out all the bits where I messed up and started over, you know. And then, you know, playing with the pitch. So in some of it, I'm doing this Mark Hamill type voice. Well, actually, at the beginning of it, I'm starting out reading like the guy from The Ninth Element or the or something, whatever that movie is. It's got Johnny Depp in it. Start talking, you know, like that guy who has a voice sort of like this, and he really enunciates his words. So I kind of started like that, and then the voice that I do for it escalates into more of a Mark Hamill thing, where let me just read some of this dialogue here, give you an idea. Let me work into it, okay? Don't judge me. I have to kind of warm up my voice. It's skinks like you that make my bulbous naughty parts all tingly. Yeah, party on, Goth. Stay out of it, you old blank. You know, I don't know, something like that. Sometimes it gets a tinge of like some wonky British or something. No offense. I don't mean to say British sounds wonky. I'm just saying like my interpretation is wonky. But then other times it gets into more of a Mark Hamill feel, and so I'd play with the pitch where I would actually deepen it using Audacity. And I'm sorry, I'm getting into a lot of technical stuff, but yes, another one is coming, and I'm going to actually make myself sit down and finish it. It's just that one of my Achilles heels when I work on stuff is when I spend longer than a day, I just want to drop it because I feel like I've already done the work. You know, when I was doing this here Super American, after I invested a day in it, I didn't want to do any more on it, and I forced myself to sit there and to finish it and finish it and finish it, you know. And so I spent like I don't know. I started sometime in the nighttime, and then the sun came up, and it's about 8 o'clock in the morning when I got done with it, because I forced myself, because I was like, you know what, you need to get this done, because you need a promo piece for Super American to get people pumped about it or interested in it. Because I'm one of these people that has a really bad habit of telling people about all these awesome things that I've got cooking and that I'm doing. And they're in my head, or I got little sketches here and there, little recordings, but nobody ever sees or hears them or sees the finished product. And so just because it's in my head, and I see the Steven Spielberg worthy quality in my head, people can't read my brain, and so I can tell them how awesome it is all day, but it doesn't mean anything. So I'm trying to double down and you know, finish crap so you can see. And so the creepypasta thing, I just got bogged down. I will finish it, and I will do more. I will immediately start on a new one after I get the newest one released. If that makes sense. I'm sorry. I talked for years on this. NTM writes, see, the whole thing with printing the copies before the campaign launches kind of defeats the point of crowdfunding, which is to get the capital to make the book. Oh, well, okay. That's a really great point. Here's my rebuttal to that. let's say like I'm doing a Wildcat campaign for Dead Man Walking. So I got Anthology in the can and I'm really wanting to amp it up. I got interest, you know. People read Wildcat Anthology, they watched the YouTube channel, you know, whatever ads I've created, that sort of thing, you know. So people are curious, you know, right? Um, so I got a lot of buzz, and I think one of the things I'm going to do is, you know, I got the Wildcat Dead Man Walking book all finished, not right now, but in the future. And so what I would do is I would go to like Kablam or someone like that, and I would have like 3 or 4 copies printed, and that would cost me anywhere from like $3 to $5 per book. All right, and they'll ship it to me, and then I can go send those copies off to CGC or whatever it's called. You know, maybe it's just one copy. Maybe I'll just do one copy as an experiment and send it off to CGC. So the fewer that I'd have like it, the more value. And see, the thing is, so when I would do the Wildcat Dead Man Walking campaign, and I would have it in the tiers on the right side, one of the tiers might be a single copy of Wildcat #1, CGC rated, autographed, $300, $100. I don't know. I'm not really good at pricing my own stuff, but it would be immediately a collectible. You know, it would just, you know, and I think it would sell and it would help fund my campaign. So you don't need like 100 copies or 20 copies of CGC graded Mavericks. You know, you could just do like have one printed and shipped to you for like $5, and then have that taken to CGC. I don't know how much they charge to do that, but you might be looking at an investment of $30 to $40 to get that all done. But then you could set the tier to be um, for like $100, $150, whatever you need to recoup that. You know, right? So I think it's an idea to think about. You know, I could be wrong in my whole pitch or assessment of it, but that's something that I'm wanting to do, that I'm going to try, that I think would be pretty cool, that I've not really seen anybody else do. I'm scrolling up, but I'm breaking the internet here. This the shading's all over the place. Despain says, good point. Our most excellent friend, Robert Johnston, is here with us. Hello, good sir. Hello, good to you as well. As you all know, Robert is the creator, owner, CEO, publisher of Zero Comics. That's comics with an IX. Like My Littlest Skull. Hopefully, I got that right. My Littlest Skulls, which you can read for free on his website, and also The Reverend, which you can read for free, and quite a few other books. I think there's like 2 other titles that he's got that you can read for free. That's coming. So check that out. Saw you on and just wanted to pop in and say hello. Well, I'm glad you did. I do like your creepypasta videos too. Ha ha! I like that. Thank you. Oh, that's his name. The guy who does Shinobi Sasquatch, Rob Willis. Uh-oh. My camera broke down. Let me see if I can get it working again.
Hello, everyone. I'm the founder and CEO of New Empire Comics, CB Smallwood. And I'm currently trying to fix my camera because it's quit receiving. Still not working, but that's okay, because I will fix it.
Camera. Let's see. Camera facing back. Camera facing front. Now camera facing back. Lord, it's all mixed up. You don't know what's going on. Okay, there we go. Let's go back to camera. Let's go back to, close that out. Get rid of that. We're back. All right. So that's how you, for anyone that has StreamYard and you ever have problems, down at the bottom, you click on more, and then you go to, I don't know if it's settings, but it's camera down where more is at. And then you click the front facing cam, turn it on, and then turn it back off, back to a back facing cam, to whatever your regular camera is, and it fixes it. So Rob Willis art style reminds me of some David Finch style. Yeah, I think he's got a combo of David Finch and Stephen Platt. Stephen Platt is the big thing, but he's getting a lot of his shading from some of his anatomy from David Finch for sure. Depending on the printer, one copy costs a lot to print. Well, I got a rough copy of Wildcat #1 printed at Kablam, and it only cost me like $5, you know, for them to print it and ship it to me. So just use Kablam, you know. And there's some other printers that price their single issues about the same. But yeah, Kablam. My Little Skull. Okay, yeah, that's everybody. That's one of Robert Johnston's books is My Little Skull, which is available on Zero Comics with an X, not a CS, an X .com. Zero Comics, and he's got free web comics, and he's pretty far along in a lot of these. I really don't like how this is coming along, you know, because I'm just kind of studying, and basically what I'm doing is I'm riffing off of this, you know, just staying busy. And usually when I do study things like that, I can't just like draw things regular. So I either have to turn what I'm studying into Wildcat or something that I'm interested in. So I'll probably end up turning this into Super American. That way perks my interest more. Yeah, I've used Kablam to print all my comics so far. 10 single issues and then 1 graphic novel. Pretty cool. You know, the only negative thing I got to say about Kablam is I do not like the fact that, at least for me, there wasn't a phone number available. So when they printed the first rough copy of the Wildcat from the failed Wildcat campaign, there was a misprint. I think there's like 1 or 2 pages that were like really blurry and stuff like that, and it took me a while to get up with them. But in their defense, you know, I would give them like 2 days or something, or a day or 2 after I would send a message to see if they'd write me back, and they wouldn't write back right away. And so I learned that for now on not to do that anymore. To do it like a businessman, you know, that runs a franchise. Like, get a hold of them immediately and keep pestering them. Is what I'm going to do in the future, because respectfully, not being mean, but sending them another message like the very next day instead of waiting like 3 or 4 days. You know, like, hey, can you fix this? And they're really cool about it, because they sent me a free fixed copy because where it was their boo-boo or whatever, you know. So I thought that was really, really cool of them to do that. But communication is, I feel like, one of Kablam's biggest problems. And I think they purposely got their whole thing set up to where they can put a little bit of distance between them and the people they're doing business for. And in some ways, I don't blame them, because comic book artists, comic book creators, comic book writers are weird people. Not all of them. I know I'm weird, but I think I'm more of a tolerable. I got my quirks, but I'm likable. But there's there's a lot of comic book creators out there that are crazy. They're crazy people. And so it don't surprise me one bit that Kablam's got things set up to where they're just doing like a messaging thing and that sort of deal. But I really wish that they would have it to where you could just call people and say, "Hey, here's my problem. I'm not going to pester you. Can you please fix this, or help me figure this out? Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I sent the file uh to the wrong place or something." Let's see here. I'm coloring a page right now, and we'll upload a page sometime in the next 2 hours. You are hardcore, sir. I'm going to tell you all right now, when our good friend Robert says he's doing something, you better believe it, because he gets done within the hour. When I say I'm doing something, about a year later, you get to see it. So you better believe it's on its way. That drawing looks great, CB. You quit lying. That's not nice. It looks all right. NTM writes, I don't like how they do the shipping. They offer first class or priority on Indie Planet, but when you order the book, they don't even give you a choice. Yeah. Oh, I'll tell you something else interesting. Some of the people that run Kablam actually used to work for Malibu Comics. I could be wrong on that, but that's pretty neat. The idea that they used to work for Malibu Comics.
Give me liberty or give me death.
I think it might be more like right there. Yeah. Let's go from swiping Keon here to channeling my inner Norm Broad, a awesome prime. Showed everybody how it was done. I do not lie, sir. Moist. I liked Malibu Comics. I did too. I loved Malibu Comics. I one-upped you there. The Ultraverse in particular, Sludge, Prime. I got one or two issues of the first couple issues of Nightman, but there was so much on the stands at the time that I guess the rest of the issues got either drowned out or they quit distributing to mom and pop stores around the time when Nightman started coming out. But Nightman, I liked when Marvel took over and they did the Exiles. I liked that. I thought that was pretty cool. And oh gosh, I feel like it's not a hard case, but War Strike, Warpath, War something. I like that book. I got one or two issues of that. That was like Aladdin's Hitman / Punisher type, and I thought that was pretty cool. There were other books. Rune's another one. It was fantastic. And yes, that's a wonderful, company. I don't know if you all know this. I've shown this to you before, but I actually was working on a story, and I drew like 3 pages of it or 4 pages of a hard case story that I was working on. That was going to be a continuation that kind of explained what happened to the Malibu universe and all the other stuff. I wonder if I got that handy laying around. I don't think so, but we'll see. I'm looking. Is that it? Oh. Nope, that's not it either. What is this stuff? What is this? I must have it. I don't know where I got it at. I think I got it in my handy dandy portfolio. We'll find out. I ain't got enough room to do this. I have to go flip it another way. Okay, where are we at here? Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, so might as well just get that out of the portfolio anyway. I'll lay it up somewhere. This thing's got a zipper. It's my big man purse. Okay, so I did this story that was going to be a continuation of Malibu Comics, the Ultraverse, and it was going to explain where everybody's been, you know, what happened, that sort of thing. And yeah, okay, let's see. Right about here. I think that's pretty good. Me fix this. So let me answer this comment right quick. NTM Comics says I gotta head out and go to bed later. All right, I appreciate you hanging out, and just want to remind everybody to check out NTM Comics channel on YouTube. I think it is called NTM Comics, could be wrong, but look that up. You could also probably type in on YouTube Mavericks. I think that is spelled MAVERIX, Mavericks. I could be wrong, but look that up. You can also find him on Twitter, and he's got the second, the first one successfully funded, if I'm correct, and he's already on his second one, and probably going to do an ash can to go with it. So follow him, check him out, and you have a good night, sir. So I was working on some Ultraverse stuff, and I created this whole big dystopian future of the Ultraverse where basically his arch enemy kind of took over the whole planet and destroyed it, and it's kind of like a mix between Terminator and the Matrix and stuff like that. And basically, at some point, the whole goal of the comic is for him to go back in time and to prevent this future from happening. And so I wanted to do like a 4-issue or whatever miniseries to where he goes about to make that happen. And and so, you know, it's a little bit of Age Apocalypse too mixed in there. So this would have been the cover. And not half bad, you know, I have to say myself. We've got this the ruins of Los Angeles, I think. I should know. I wrote the story. And I wanted to draw like some semi-future vehicle that's going around, and it's like scouting. It's got this light going on here. Let's see, bodies on the rooftop and help us, and damage to these buildings that have been in decay for several decades now. We got me channeling my inner Andy or Adam Kubert going on there, you know, and he's just watching, and then you see this thing going through the sky, and it's going to have like some narration, and then you see him watching from a distance, this whole thing going down. Here's a page I'm not too happy with. It's not the worst page in the world, but basically, I wanted to do like a cool thing where you get a good gander at him, you know, and and I don't like the way I drew his face that much, but you know, it ain't bad. This part right here came out cool. There's some perspective issues that are wrong. I'm not going to tell you what it is. If you don't see it, then it's not a problem. But he's in direct communication with somebody in this dystopian future, and so now we get to the part where, you know, he's trying to figure out who the heck he's, you know, we get to see who he's talking to. So this is basically an Aladdin facility. I was going to draw the Aladdin logo. This is like some company that's similar to, it's a corporation. So it's a corporation. I would compare it to that future corporation in Spider-Man 2099 mixed with Department H or whatever it's called. The guys that made Wolverine, you know, the Weapon X programs, they're mixed between the two. So they're a corporation that does shady stuff. And this is one of their buildings. I know you can't really tell, but this is the skyline. Here's the actual building. I tried to show that it's had some wear and tear, a lot of things that happen. And then I'm sorry, the drawings look a little bit better in person because the camera's not focusing. Maybe if I move this out of the way. But there's like this, you know, I guess a tornado hatch or something, like, you know, like what they used to do in the Midwest or something. But there's one of those. And it leads down here. I tried to put some leaves and debris leading down to it. And there's these lights that go down these steps. And here we've got some guys that are kind of doing their thing, guarding this door. And once you get past this door, that's where we get this almost like a big spread shot of these refugees, these survivors in this post-apocalypse. And it turns out Aladdin is trying to keep them safe and protect them from the machines, because in this dystopian future that I've drawn, basically there are, unless I change my mind, there are clones of him with maybe a slightly different head, or their brains have been scooped out, so they got his powers but not his brains. So there's a few clones of him that serve as elite soldiers, but there's also this machine called Enemy, NME, that is like one of the most deadliest villains in the Ultraverse, and that's one of his arch rivals. And Enemy in this apocalyptic future is one of the main ones responsible for it, and he basically replicated himself, and so they're like Terminators, just going all over the place. And they felt like the best way to eliminate ultras is to reduce the human population down to such a number to where the possibility of them birthing ultras becomes a low probability. So this lady here, she's actually the team leader of Solution. She's like a very wealthy gal who's like very in touch with technology and stuff like that. And she's the person that's leading Aladdin now. And she uses her resources to try to help save the world. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to get some of Rune's stone, one of Rune's stones, that is able to alter or tap into other dimensions and plays with the time flux, whatever, does something with time, so that Hardcase can go back in time and change things. Not his body, but his consciousness go back into his younger self. So that's the goal, because she knows that pretty soon Enemy is going to go to the facility, and he's allowing people to herd into the facility because it's going to be easier to kill everybody. And so what she wants to do, and she's not told everybody this, but she knows the end is coming and there's not much they can do about it. So their goal is to send his consciousness back in time into his old body to prevent this dystopian future from happening in the Ultraverse. And so we got this pretty cool shot of her. When I'm not looking at anything, when I'm not trying to riff off of Arthur Adams or J. Scott Campbell, and I'm doing good at drawing women, they kind of turn out looking like this. So I think that turned out pretty good. And there's some guards and stuff like that sort of thing. And here she is entering into this techno room. I know you can't really tell these scribbles out, but these are 3 people sitting in chairs, consoles, doing stuff. And here she is, and she's looking at a screen. Here's some guy with a Star Trek helmet doing Star Trekky things. And she's in communication now because of implants and whatever else with Hardcase. And here's an unfinished rendered Hardcase that I was still penciling on, where he's in downtown Los Angeles, and he's trying to avoid the drones that work on behalf of Enemy. And what ends up happening in that first issue that I never did finish is he has to go down in the sewer because the last known location of one of Rune's stones that's going to make it able for him to send his consciousness back in time, Sludge somehow may have one of those stones or something like that. So he has to go down in the sewers to see if, first of all, if Sludge is still alive, and second, try to get it off of him if he has it. Which the way that I was going to do it is, of course, he doesn't have it, but he knows who ended up with it last. And it was like, probably another one of Hardcase's arch villains, somebody's rogues list that he has to go take it from, And it turns out in this dystopian future, you're going to see a lot of these characters and how much they've changed and what they went through. In that dystopian future, well, what was I going to do? Oh, yeah, like by issue 2 or 3, he meets up with Prime. And it turns out Prime is actually helping Enemy. Because by herding in humans to the culling pens, he gets to save a few of them from being executed by Enemy. So he felt the best way to help humanity was actually by working with Enemy. And so Prime has a showdown with a Hardcase here at some point. And Prime's going along with it because just like that girl who's the leader of the Solution, he sees that that they're not going to make it, that this is their best shot. And at some point, Hardcase, who has to fight one of the most powerful Ultras, convinces him. Meanwhile, in this big story I concocted, there's a group of people that are leaving the refugee center from Aladdin, this underground hidden facility, because they heard that there is a safe place to go to, an island out in the ocean. It's probably called like Safe Haven or something like that, something. And it is. It's a paradise. It's where Enemy's not located. But and then we get to see a few refugees that land there, and what ends up happening is, of course, Enemy shows up and slaughters everybody. You see like one of the last panels I wanted to draw was this mother holding this child and the shadow looming over them, and of course they get zapped, cut, and chewed up. And so it was a bit of false hope. But there is one island out in the ocean that is been safe from enemy, and basically it's this big villain called Adelon. I think that's his name, and he's probably the most powerful Ultra, or one of them. He can control gravity. All right, so he's sort of like Magneto, but like times 10. He can control gravity, and he's protected his people, but he wants nothing to do with the humans. Um, and so there's a group of people that um, this chick, the head of Solution, there's a group of people that she sends out to convince Adelon to come battle enemy so that they can save the world, you know. And so I've got all these little Game of Thrones things going on at the same time. And so it basically culminates where Prime ends up helping Hard Case. Adelon does show up after some chorusing, whatever. Can't speak English. After some a little bit of effort, and everybody, it looks like everybody dies. And basically, Hard Case consciousness gets sent back in time to his old body, and back to the moment when the first his team of people he had together. They weren't called Ultra Force. It was called something else. Back when he first encountered enemy, and he just slaughters enemy, and he saves those people's his teammates' lives. And so now he's back in the 90s. His consciousness is permanently in his young body, and he goes about making things different. And that's kind of how I wanted to end it. So there you go. There's that whole big long spiel. I know you just didn't want that whole big pie, but you got it, and I hope you liked it. Yeah, these hands are starting to look a little bit like what's a guy called Joe Mad. It's not Joe Mondrea, but I can't pronounce his last name, but Joe Mad. Okay, let's see. Got a few more comments here to answer. That's a nice looking page, CB. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm getting some nice Michael Fife vibes from those hard case pages. I'm trying to think who Michael Fife is. Who is that guy? Let me write this down because I'm going to Google. Who knows? I may see Michael Fife and fall in love with him. Not like marry him, but like, you know, admire his work or something and steal and take from him. The story sounds cool. Thank you. I really appreciate that. You know, I think it was going to be a really cool story if I got to draw all of it. You know, one other thing I wanted to mention about it is I wanted to do this thing where I was kind of torn. Like I wanted him to kind of wake up in this reality, but I thought that maybe that would look boring. You know, like it'd be a little bit too tedious. So I thought about maybe for the first issue I would start it out where it's right into the action, so nobody would get bored. You know, which might be, I don't know. But basically, back sometime in the 90s, Hard Case gets knocked out or whatever, but instead of getting killed by one of his arch rivals, he's put in this like cryostasis or whatever, and enemy, this machine that's made to kill ultras or mutants, whatever you want to call them, he ends up turning on his creator, and he exceeds his programming because his programming is basically to kill all ultras. And then that's when he comes up with this idea. So basically, because of his advanced technology, he's able to hack into the primitive 90s computer systems around the world, launch nuclear warheads. He begins, in the meantime, building a facility that creates hundreds of duplicates of enemy and stuff like that. And because Enemy has access to this comatose hard case, he takes his DNA and makes clones where he scoops out the brains. And those were some of the first soldiers of Enemy, because it's more easier to do something with genetics than it is to create a facility that you have to have a automation line and have the metal and the materials that you have to mine to create these things. Genetic material is far easier to render at first. So he got these clones where he scooped out the brains, and so basically it's really horrifying. This hero of this world, clones of him are going around killing everybody. And they're like unstoppable. It's like a bunch of Superman that have no brains. Yeah, that was, yeah. So anyway, he wakes up in this world, and kind of like a Matrix Neo moment where he wakes up in this hell, and he don't know what's going on, and eventually he stumbles and meets up with the Aladdin people, and then that's where this story kind of takes off at. You are destined to be a comics creator. I hope so. I really do. I really do. I wish I could get my act together and draw faster and do better. I'm hoping that whenever I do, whenever I start on this, I can get like a team of people together. Just like I have a story, I have a really awesome story for Super American, but I feel like I need help, and I just want to be able to draw it, and so I can focus on getting better as a little bit as a writer, but mostly as an artist, to where when I start back on Wildcat, that I can get a lot done. Looks like I wonder if Michael Fife is going to take credit for this. Posted online, drawn by Michael Fife. Yeah. Honestly, I got bored with this drawing like an hour ago. Despane Comics writes, he does a book called Copra from Image Comics. Okay, got it. I can help you color and letter Super American. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. I'll take it. I'll take that help. You're awesome, Robert. Okay, so I want to sketch one more thing, and then I think I'll call it a night. I've actually, somebody on Facebook mentioned that they wanted to. They thought it'd be cool if Super American had white hair, and I actually kind of agree with it, because it makes it even more different, and a little bit more mine. I'm so possessive. And so because of the way I do things, sometimes when I get done coloring something or whatever digitally, I don't even worry about saving it. I just export it as a JPEG or a PNG or whatever, and I call it a night, And then when they said that, so I kind of had to almost start all over again, not quite, and just so I could give him white hair, Camera's really blurry after I fixed it. It was doing really good the first go around, but after I tinkered with it, it's kind of down for the count. You got that help whenever you need it, bro. You're awesome, man. Thank you. Spain Comics says, I'm going to turn in because this show sucks now. Good night, everyone. You have a good night. You're awesome, bud. Lion Tiger Man says, okay, I came back. What did I miss? I talked about this whole big story of Hardcase that I did not finish, which I really should. It's just one of these things where I have to prioritize and make time for things. Um, Seeing it really encourages me though, because I feel like whenever I start to work on the Super American thing, I think it'll do well. That's about it. I mean, I feel like we talked about all kinds of things, and I can't remember what half of it is. Gosh, it's kind of messed up. I'm not even trying to be faithful to this drawing that I'm looking at. I'm just kind of goofing off. You know, I made the teeth and everything too big. Um, but that's pretty much what I'm looking at. Again, the camera's not focusing good, but you get the gist. Ba, 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 ba. Um, hmm. I had this. I want to mention this. I don't know if you're still watching, but just in case you are, I was going to run something by you, Robert. It's like I kind of rethought like something, and I was working, and what was it I was doing? I was wiping off tables or something like that, and and I had this moment where things kind of clicked, and I'm very concerned about having a body of work out there for people to look at. And I've got like all these little projects that I'm working on, but like nothing is getting out there. You know what I mean? It's like I've got this hard case thing uh, that isn't out there, and I've got like one, two, three, four, 5 pages of it. Um, I got the Wildcat anthology, which that's coming out. That's going to happen. I've got the Wildcat Dead Man Walking thing on the back burner, and but that's going to be a while till I get to it because I want to get good. I want to reach that Mark Silvestri Cyberforce quality, that Del Keon Pit #1 quality, Todd McFarlane Spawn quality. You know, because I want people, and not just in terms of art, but also in terms of writing. I want to do better than the writing than those books. You know, but I don't have the experience. That's part of the reason why I'm wanting to do the Super American thing. I just want to focus on crapping stuff out. Try not to be so anal and protective and in particular. Just get it out there so I can get good. So when I get to my special projects, um, I'll be ready. But anyway, I was rethinking this idea. The oh, I don't know if I should say here. Probably should message first. I don't know. I'm thinking, but I was wanting to. I was. I've. It sounds bad. I've reconsidered something because I framed it in my mind in a way that makes sense to me. That I feel is going to be really cool. And I really want to get more content out there to people, so that they can be excited and see that I'm doing stuff and making things and whatever. So the idea that I had was I'm getting nervous about saying it because I feel bad. I feel bad about it, about stuff. I wanted to check if you still had the remix files for the original Wildcat book because when my computer crashed and it took everything with it, including family pictures, which really sucked. I no longer had them on the Google Drive. And what I was thinking about doing is going ahead and doing what you want to do, which was to release the book. But I thought what I want to do now is release the book and call it Wildcat Rough Cut. And so basically it would be pitched as like here's what it was, and kind of introduce people to Wildcat and stuff like that. And I wanted to do something kind of like a thank you to people. And so my idea was I wanted to like put the book together, and I was gonna have to rewrite it or something because when I started playing around with it to see if how it would go lettering it, some of my narration wouldn't fit or it looked ugly, and so I'm gonna have to simplify some things and all this other stuff. But anyway, I was thinking about releasing it as a one shot called Wildcat Rough Cut, to where it's like, hey, this is what the book would have been, though it's not what it's going to be. And, it'd be in black and white. And, and what I wanted to do is I figured that I would save up, or I would just do little out of whack. I would send it off to Kablam and get it printed. And for everybody that left me like an address on Indiegogo or whatever, I would have it printed and shipped to them for free. I would just I just want to give it to them for free, And I was going to be hush hush about it and stuff like that, but I figured I'd just throw that out there. I've been kind of alluding to it, but the reason I want to do that is let everybody know that I appreciate them, that I don't take them for granted. Let everybody know that Wildcat's still happening, that he's still a thing that exists, and I feel like it'd be a good way to get people more familiar with Wildcat. So like the people that originally backed the book would get this rare kind of like one shot thing, you know, I wouldn't like buy a bunch of copies from Kablam at one whack. I wouldn't be able to afford it. So what I would do is I'd get a little out of time, just take my time sending it in. I wouldn't even announce it or nothing. I just want to do like be low key about it. And then I would make have it set up as a free PDF or whatever. And so that way I'm getting material out and getting people more familiar with the character and the whole 9 yards. And it's so stupid. I hate it when I do dumb stuff, but just like I feel like maybe I'm talking out my butt when I say this, but I feel like it's almost like God put it in my head, like, hey CB, why don't you just do that and just call it Rough Cut, so that way you can have your cake and eat it too. That way, when you do Wildcat Deadman Walking, which is the same story but with a lot more stuff and a lot more well produced, in terms of the art and the story, you can still put out this thing that you put a lot of work into, which was the original story, and it'd be a cool thing for people to see how, whenever you get done with the new Wildcat stuff, to see how far you've come and that sort of thing. And I don't know. I was like, my brain was firing on all cylinders and stuff like that. So that's my big idea. I'll give you all that I have, CB, for sure. Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate that. I always keep backups of backups of backups. I would say that I try. I mean, I have things on memory sticks, and I have some things on the Google Drive, but I always have to delete stuff because I'm soaking up pictures like no other. I think a lot of it is because I take a lot of reference photos, screenshots, and it's saving it to Google Drive, like in the picture section that I don't see on Google Drive. And so it's taking up a lot of memory. But anyway, I always have these weird technical problems that pop up. Things crash, break, tear up. And it puts me in a weird bind. But I guess that's everybody. I think I'm just opining for no reason. He says, "Do it. Nothing to lose, really." I am going to do it. It's like I made my mind up. What time I was sweeping some floor or wiping some table or mopping up pee in a bathroom. I can't remember. I was like, I'm going to put that out there. Even though it's not the version of Wildcat I want people to see or the story that I want people to see, just put it out as a one shot. Let people know it's a rough cut. It's a demo. It's a rough draft. And I just want people to know that I really, really, really do appreciate them. And I thought that would be really nice. And I wouldn't like mail all the books out at once. I just, as I get money and paychecks, I would just print off like 2 or 3 copies, at a printer, have them ship it to me, and then I would just ship these books out to people, and if I have somebody's address and they live in South Africa, I'll eat the cost on that shipping. So that's kind of my thought on that. Morning, by the way. Morning to you too. I do like it when I have cake and I can eat it too. I do too. That's I don't know if that's like a weird thing it's a cross between insanity and Schroeder's cat, but it's definitely somewhere in between in Alice in Wonderland, which makes me think of there's a show on Netflix. You all need to watch this. This is great stuff. I don't think it's called Alice in Wonderland. It's something about it has the word Alice in it. Whatever. But it's a Japanese show. I think it is Japanese. It might be in Korean, but it's a Japanese show. I'm sure of it. And basically these 3 friends, they're having a normal day and they get chased by cops. They go into a bathroom stall, and then all of a sudden everybody in Japan freaking disappears. And there's this weird sadistic game that nobody knows who's running it, but they make these players play this game or they die. And people end up dying anyway during the game. And so it's these dangerous, lethal games. There's different games. And it is fantastic. So the show on Netflix is called Alice something other. So type in Alice or Alice in Wonderland. I can't remember what it's called. I'm waiting for the 2nd season to come out. It's great. It's based off of a manga, I think. I have to go to redraw the first 9 pages for chapter 2. So take care. Bye. See you later. All right, you too, Lion Tiger Man. You draw the hell out of those pages. Your work keeps getting better and better. Your faces and your storytelling and all this other stuff. I love watching everybody just continually improve and really up their game and stuff like that. And you really are. And I think your book. I think it's called Half Breed. I could be wrong, but I think you're going to really get some people excited about Half Breed. Once they get a chance to really get into it and read it, and it's going to be really cool. So you have a good night. Robert says Alice in Borderland. Thank you very much. Alice in Borderland is that thing on Netflix. Everybody, it really, really is a good show. Now, I'm not for sure. I can't remember if it's English dubbed or if it's subtitled in English. I have this weird thing to where I can watch Chinese and Korean and Japanese shows and watch and just read the subtitles, because it's like it's like watching a live action comic when you do that. You're just so used to it. But a lot of people just don't like that. It has to be they have to be speaking English. So I don't know if they speak English in this or not. My mind can't remember if they do. I feel like they do. I think it is dubbed in English. I could be wrong, but check it out. I know for those of you that don't know if my movie recommendations is any good or not, just trust me. It's pretty good. It's a good show. So I was right. It's actually a manga too. I've not seen the manga. I've not seen the manga. First season was dope. It was. It was as dope as it gets. It was great. Another great Asian show was the South Korean. What is that show called? The Kingdom or Kingdom? Now there's another Kingdom show on Netflix, but that's not the right one. You anyone interested? You want to watch the one that has all Asian actors in it, Korean actors? It's called Kingdom. It takes place during the Warring Three Kingdom period in Korea when gosh, it's been I can't remember what was the Three Kingdoms, and Pajik was one, Sheila was another one, Korgyo. There's actually like a lot of them all throughout time. But anyway, back in the time of kings and queens and in Korea, and there's like this zombie apocalypse happens. So it's a mix between Game of Thrones and zombies. So that's another great one. I got all quiet there. It's another great one. Gonna keep eating my Bob Ross little happy tree mints. Sorry that my camera can't focus, but we're gonna have a good time. Lion Tiger Man says, yes, half breed, which is the name of his book. And good night. Good night to you too. There is a Kingdom movie part out right now based on some of the side characters from the Kingdom series. I haven't seen it yet, but it's saved to my list. Oh, that's interesting. You remember what it's called? Because that was a great series. It kind of lost its way a little bit in the last 2 episodes or something. But man, that was a great series. I think Alice in Borderland, though, was solid from beginning to end. What time we mull that over? Let me mention this. I made this discovery, and this is so stupid. I'm special. Okay, that's all I know to say is I'm special. As you know, I've been drawing a lot of Hulk on Instagram, or at least I was there for a little bit. And when I first started drawing the Hulk stuff, I had I don't know if it's actually here, but there's a rough for what I was wanting to do on the Super American thing. Scientist is running away, being chased by some Nazis, and there's like some observatorium in Washington D.C. in the distance. My thumbnails is as crude as it gets, But anyway, that's not what I was wanting to show you. Just a bunch of Hulk stuff, really. Some of these turned out pretty good or whatever, but anyway, the long short of it is there's a really crappy Wildcat head. Made his grin a little too something another. But I did like maybe like 5 or 10 Sal Buscema heads, because I love the way he draws Hulk, and there's a point to this, everybody. I promise. But anyway, Sal Buscema. So he's one of my favorite Hulk artists, and So I was working on my Hulk. Hulk is one of these characters I feel like I draw better than most characters, you know. And so I did like 5 or 10 of these Sal Buscema based Hulk drawings, and as time went on, I incorporated some McFarlane and all this other stuff. Started doing my own thing. I think it looks like my own thing overall. I know you can't see the details because the camera's not working right since it tore up last time. But my point is, and this is going to be really dumb, really dumb. Not all the faces turned out good, but that's the point of what I'm getting ready to say. I love this. I like that one. I really like that one. But the rest of these are pretty much in lieu of how I want to draw the Hulk. I would love to draw Hulk for a living. That would be awesome. One of my favorite characters. But but the thing I noticed though is before I could get to this stuff, which I feel like this looks pretty good. I mean, maybe like 10 years from now, if I'm still alive, I may think different. But oh, this is awful. It's not terrible, but there's some Wildcat for you. Yeah. But anyway, my point is, it took me drawing Hulk like 5 or 6 times, 7 times in a row before I started getting in a rhythm. And if there's anything I can impart on any of you tonight before some of you go to bed, or some of you that's hopped on, that I've learned recently, and this is so stupid, that when you're working on a project, when you're doing your comics or whatever, here's me working on Rob Liefeld, that you should draw something like 5 or 6 times, like the character that you're trying to work on or whatever, because the more you draw it, the better it's going to look, because you start to figure it out, you start to tinker with it. And I have this really bad, nasty habit of just like drawing something once or twice at the most, and you know, that's kind of like it. You know, I just I crap it out and I move on. You know, and unfortunately, that's what my work looks like. It ends up most of the time looking like I crapped it out, because I did. And my big discovery, my big personal eureka moment that most people probably take as common sense, because it is that when it comes to making comics, doing art or whatever, draw something 5, 6, 7 times, as many as your patience will allow, and you'll start to find the essence of it, you know, really bring it home and do something cool with it, you know, where it looks really good. And that's how I got those Hulk pages, you know, was because of that, you know. I mean, I was looking at reference in some of them, and others I wasn't. But I drew each and every single one of them my own way, you know, my own style or method or whatever. But yeah, so I'd like to impart that on everybody, if that information's worth anything. I know it's so stupid, but I feel like, you know, I struggle with the most common sense things, you know, and I think it really holds me back. You know, I've got what some people would call book smart intelligence, but when common sense, like I'm the type of guy that will, you know, before I leave home, lock all the doors, but leave the windows open. I didn't do that, but my father did. So I blame him for this fault in my genetics as it comes to computing power for my brain. But anyway, the point is, that was a little eureka moment, and so I'm passing that on, you know, for anyone that has not thought of it like me. And as you can tell, I'm getting ready to wrap this bad boy up. Just want to remind everybody that I've got Super American coming up after I get done with the Wildcat anthology. You know, I'm waiting on everybody to get their contributions turned in, and you guys, take your time. I'm not rushing you or anything like that, so I don't mean that in that sense when I say that, because I'm still working on stuff too when it comes to the anthology. And I haven't even started on the fake advertisements yet. So we got the Wildcat Anthology that is coming out. That's going to be pretty cool. We've got Super American that is coming out soonish. Okay, and I'm going to try to like really knock these babies out. You know, I want to get good at art. So that's the reason I picked the public domain character, spoofed him up, cleaned him off, and I'm going to do that. I got a cool story. I feel it's a mix between Terminator and Saving Private Ryan and Captain America, and a dash of some type of manga that involves Megazords. And also, I guess announced tonight, there will be a comic book that'll come out hopefully soon, which is it needs to be rewritten and lettered. A one shot called Wildcat Rough Cut, which is the first issue that was originally going to come out, and everybody get to check that out. And then I was going to write like this, you know, big sobby thing talking about my process of getting there, and talking about the 100 days of making comics, and you know, I was going to plug everybody and put all kinds of cool stuff in it. You know, it's going to plug the hell out of all my art buddies and writing buddies. As many that have, you know, active projects going on or something like that. I'm over ambitious, I know. So so I got those things coming out. I know it's a lot of stuff, but it's just one thing at a time, basically one thing at a time. The Wildcat Rough Cut stuff shouldn't take long. I mean, it's still going to be work, you know, but that shouldn't take long to get that out. The Super American stuff, not even got started on that. Just got basically kind of like a promo piece / cover. The Wildcat Anthology, I would say it is 70% done, with the other 40% just being, you know, people finishing the inking and / lettering on stuff, and me adding a few more pages here and there and the fake advertisements. So yeah, that's where we're at. And the name of that spinoff of the Kingdom is the Kingdom Ashin of the North. Ashin of the North. Okay, cool. I'll look that up. All right. So we're at the end of the show. I appreciate everybody being super troopers and sticking through to the brutal end. I started out with massive enthusiasm at the beginning of the show. I had a cool story about spiders that is attacking and eating everybody in Great Britain, and also the Irish, and they're mating and making spider women or something. And then I had all this cool stuff to show you throughout, and some crappy sketches to go with it. But anyway, as always, I just remind you all to be the tide that rises all boats, to be the change that you want to see. And I'm forgetting 1 or 2 sayings out of there. I got like 100 of them. But last but not least, carpe diem, baby. Seize the day, because today is your day, and make tomorrow an even better day. I am reading all your comments where everybody's saying bye. Much love to you all, and
a great day tomorrow in a superhero voice.
have a good night, everybody, and I will see you hopefully in the next show. Got a couple ideas about the show that I want to spiff it up and improve it slowly but surely. I forgot to do the news bit too, but whatever. But I'll see you next time.